One of my favorite things about following people on YouTube is that I get to know the backstory behind some of the people that I follow, and I admire their work. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 things that hopefully you didn't already know about me. So number one of the most common questions that I get asked is, what did you do before photography? Before photography, I was a golf course greenskeeper. Really random, I know. I've worked manual labor jobs pretty much all of my life. I like to think that that's one of the things that makes me appreciate how lucky I am to get to do photography and teach photography for a living. I've worked hard manual labor jobs all of my life. And before photography, I was a golf course greenskeeper. I spent my days mowing, listening to audiobooks and listening to podcasts. And while it wasn't the worst job in the world, it was not the best either. I thought I had a great job, but it wasn't until I found photography that I realized how much cooler life could kind of be. So before photography, I was a golf course greenskeeper. Thing number 2, I have a bad back. People that know me pretty well know that I've had some back issues, and it's not because of golf, ironically. It's actually because of working hard labor jobs. I've herniated a couple discs in my back, and as a result, I've had 2 back surgeries. The first one was repairing one of the bulged discs. It was just a discectomy where they go in and kind of remove some of the disc that is herniating out into your spinal column. And then the second one was a discectomy laminectomy. So I've had 2 back surgeries. You know, most of the time, my back's totally fine, but in the mornings, I can really feel it. Luckily, I haven't had any fusions, and with a little luck, I won't have any more back surgeries in my life, but I do have kind of a bad back. But one of the things about having the back surgeries is that when I had my herniated discs, I have something called stenosis, which means that my spinal cord didn't have room to escape the herniated disc. So I had incredibly bad nerve pain in my back. I mean, it was so bad that when I would stand up and I would get that nerve pain shooting down my legs, the pain was so bad I would almost pass out. And for that reason, I was actually bedridden for a month and a half before having my second back surgery. Going through that experience where your life is just, interrupted, has given me a newfound appreciation for how quick things can change and how much you really need to appreciate, how things are currently. Because I'm in full awareness that I'm one, bad sneeze or a herniated disc away from this awesome life that I have just going away. And you guys should be aware of that too. Things can change really, really quickly. And for that reason, you need to appreciate what you have while you have it. Thing number 3, I was a musician. I was a heavy metal drummer musician guy. I used to be in bands, and I used to actually record bands a lot, but playing music and being in bands has always been a big part of my life. Until I had a kid, once I had my son, I kind of phased out that part of my life because I was no longer able to dedicate the amount of time and the amount of travel, ironically, that it takes to be a professional touring musician. I wasn't a pro, but I was really close. My band was accepted into a big tour, and I had to turn it down because my son was a newborn, and I had to start being a responsible dad. But music used to be a big part of my life, and maybe that's where some of the creativity or the creative spark comes from, is because I've always been a little bit creative, but I've always also been very technical as well. And that's where some of the audio recording stuff comes from. So thing number 4, I come from a very low income, borderline poverty family. Growing up, mom and dad were always on food stamps and assistance of some kind. I ate a lot of meals that came from food banks. And for that reason, I was the first kid with a last name Page that graduated from high school. Like I came from a family that was not exactly entrepreneurial or ambitious. For that reason, I was kind of the black sheep in my family, actually. I always wanted to accomplish more than my family did. And I feel like I've probably broken the mold in that way. So thing number 4 is I do not come from money. And if I seem a little bit unsophisticated and blue collar, now you know why. I do not come from a well-to-do family. And thing number 5, probably the thing that I get asked the most, is what kind of photography training do I have? Did I go to college for photography? And the answer is no. I am YouTube taught. I'm YouTube and tutorial taught. So I've basically bought subscriptions to every single photography education site out there, you know, the Kelby ones, the lynda.coms, the Flurns, and I've learned a lot through that. And that's one of the coolest parts about photography is you can learn it for free. And that's not always been the case, but in the age of YouTube, there's so much that you can learn for free. And I encourage you guys to go out and exhaust all of that free information out there. When you first start, there's nothing holding you back except for you. The information's out there. The tools are getting more affordable all of the time. There's less barrier for entry. So really the only thing holding anybody back from getting better at photography is themselves. I've kind of ran with that because I used to be a musician, you know. A band is only as strong as its laziest member. You know, it's only as tight as its laziest member. So when the bass player doesn't show up for practice, the band isn't getting better that day. But the cool thing about being a photographer is that you are in charge for how good you get to be. You can take that to heart and go out and push yourself really hard and learn at your own pace. And hopefully that pace can be fast. So that's 5 things that maybe you didn't know about me, maybe you did, but thought it might be interesting to put out there. Sometimes it's fun to get a little window into the, you know, to the background of some of the people you follow. All right, so we'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.